one of Britain's most fierce and iconic rivalries. In just under a week, Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn will follow in their father's footsteps and take to the boxing ring for the third instalment of Eubank Vs Benn.
Yes, the pair will fight to keep their families' boxing legacies alive in a showdown that promises to bring the UK to a standstill.
So let's bring him out. First up, he's held the WBA Continental Welterweight title since 2018 with a total of 21 fights, 21 wins and 14 knockouts. It is the Destroyer, Conor Benn. Morning, Conor.
Good morning.
Great to have you.
Thank you for joining us in the studio this morning.
And his opponent, two-time RBO super middleweight world champion with a total of 34 fights, 32 wins, 23 knockouts. It is next gen Chris Eubank Jr. Come on in, Chris.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Lovely to see you.
We're also joined by their promoters Kelly Sowland and Eddie Hearn. Good morning to both of you.
Morning. Morning.
As well.
Very early to be this tense and this excited.
I suddenly feel that the atmosphere in the studio has definitely changed now, hasn't it?
As it should do. Gents, it's lovely to have you in the studio. Let's start with you, Conor. How are you feeling? We were a week out, just over a week before the fight.
This is the long part. I just want to get in there and do the business now. All the hard work done, the preparation's done. It's now just a matter of getting in there and fighting. Get all the media work done. And, I'm just excited to get in there, man.
Had a good training camp?
Strong, powerful. It's been an amazing challenge, coming up the two weight divisions. I just want to get in there now and prove myself. And, that's it, really.
All right, Chris, let's come to you. How about you? How are you feeling?
60%, I'm calm, I'm happy, I'm on weight, and I'm ready to go.
60% because you've had to come down considerably, so you're saying you're going to be fighting at sort of 60% of your usual strength? Is that the point of the 60%?
Yeah, I have this weight that I have to make, which I've never made before in my entire career. And there's also a weight, there's also a rehydration clause after the fight. I can't be over a certain weight. So I can't be 100% for this fight, but the 60% that I will be is going to be a very dangerous and worrying 60% for Conor.
How hard has that been then? The fact that you've had to come down and weight, you've had to make big changes to be able to make this happen.
Have I made big changes? I wouldn't even say that. Have
you had a nutritionist for the first time though to help you to make sure you hit?
Absolutely not. No, I'm doing everything on my own accord. I've had my burgers and my birthday cakes, and I've done everything my own way. I'm a professional, but I also know what my body can do and what it can't do. And I don't need nutritionists and guys, gym guys who think they know what they're doing. I know my own body.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Conor, I'd imagine that, because of course, usually you'd have to make a weight, but it must have been a bit of a change for you to have to be putting on weight, because you've come up a couple of categories, right?
Yeah, listen, we can all play the card, I'm coming up, a stone and all that. At the end of the day, I can beat the man, but I'll be 100% because I'm a dedicated professional athlete, not ramming burgers down my throat or portraying that image anyway. I'm here working, grafting hard, and I'll be 100% on the night.
And what about the idea, from a legacy perspective, of being able to do this with both of the history of your fathers who took each other on with such iconic fights, Conor? How does that feel to be sort of stepping into the ring in that way?
Well, the last fight did in a draw, so we all know how that fight really went and who should have won. So, it's only right I get this victory.
Is there more pressure on you this time, Chris, do you think, than Conor?
There's a huge amount of pressure on me for this fight, absolutely. I've said it before, and this is the first time I've ever said it throughout my entire career. If I lose this fight, I retire. And I love fighting. I love the sport. I love being a boxer. I don't want it to end.
Why do you need to retire if you lose this fight?
Because losing to a Conor Benn at this stage in my career, it means that I'm not the fighter that I thought I was or that I think I am. I want to challenge for world titles within the next 6 to 12 months. I can't do that with a loss to Conor Benn. My father retired at 32. I'm 33 years old. So, this is an extremely, important fight. And there's a lot of pressure on me to not only win, but to uphold the name, the family legacy that we have created. Right now, the Eubank name is in front of the Benn name in the history books. And I'm going to keep it that way.
Conor, how are you feeling about that? How's your dad feeling about all of this as well?
Oh, you're funny, you are.
I mean, it's the truth.
The fight wouldn't have happened if it wasn't Eubank Benn or you ring walking second. But the reality is, no one cares about... My ego ain't that big about my name being first in the history books or whoever ring walks second. I couldn't care less, to be honest with you, mate.
But you do agree that we are ahead?
No, not at all, mate.
Well, we beat you.
OK, well, everyone knows it is Ben Eubank. You know, when this fight was done and announced, you know whose name was trending? It weren't Eubank, mate.
Oh,
let's have that right.
It hurts my heart.
I bet it hurts your heart.
Conor,
got a massive ego.
Is there part of you, though, that wants to, with your dad in mind, your dad's legacy and what happened, that you want to get there and get the win for your dad as well?
I'm going there and get the win regardless. My dad's proud of me with or without this fight. You know, I can still do my old job, painting and decorating. My dad would still be proud of me, the man that I've become. He's an oppo in my way that I've got to get my hands on and beat.
Chris, for you, your dad is training you, isn't he? How has that been?
Actually, I've trained myself for this fight. My father has kept his distance.
Oh, is he giving you advice?
Does he ever stop giving you advice?
He was actually... he wanted me to wait, actually. He didn't want me to take this fight. He wanted me to wait another year. But there's no time like the present. I wasn't going to let this one slip through my fingers. I've trained myself. I've done my own nutrition plan. I've lived my own life, and you know I'm very confident in my ability and what's going to happen on the 8th.
Your dad also wanted you to not have the fight. He tried to pull you out of the fight, or say that he's not happy about the fight. He's concerned about the rehydration clause as well. I mean, your dad has a huge reputation as a boxer, and his knowledge of boxing and what is safe and what's not safe. How much of a concern was that when your dad turned around to you and said, "I don't want you to take it. I'm scared"?
It's not that he's scared.
He's scared of losing you. That's what he said.
He's an emotional man, and I think in that moment in time, he let his emotions get the better of him. You know, listen, I lost a brother a year ago. You know, that's the cold, hard truth of it. And, you know, he doesn't want to take any risks now. I understand that. But as a man, I've signed a contract. You know, I've said I'm going to do something. So regardless of worries and fears, even from my father, you know, I have a job to do, and I'm going to do it.
And the bit he's worried about is this rehydration clause to do with the weight and everything. Can you just explain that? So for people who aren't familiar with boxing and how that works and what it means for you that you'll have to do and not do.
So usually after a weigh-in, you can eat and drink as much as you want to refuel, re-energize, and be ready to go to war. For me, I actually I can't eat and drink as much as I want after the weigh-in because there's a certain weight that I can't go above. It's something I've never done before in my career. I don't, you know, there's very few fighters that have had to do something like this. But that is the handicap that I've accepted and that I feel is fair because he's coming up in weight. I'm coming down. There has to be some give and take. There has to be some compromise.
Yeah.
It's going to be a challenge. I've never done anything like this before, so, you know, I don't know how it's going to affect my performance or my stamina or my energy. But the 60% that I will be enough to deal with this man.
Eddie, it's a fight that we've all been salivating over for many years. As soon as we realised both of them were going to be boxers and sort of hoped maybe there could be something, but it seemed like a bit of a dream because of the weight difference between the two of them. Your dad, of course, used to manage Chris's father. So this is a bit of family for you guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fathers were sitting in the ITV studios 20-odd years ago signing the contracts. You know, over 15 million people watch the fights on ITV. The rivalry is the greatest rivalry in the history of British boxing, and now we're seeing it all again. And that's why the country will stop next Saturday, because every generation, the younger generation who are now fans, the older generation who watched the first two fights know that, you know, this is a real fight. And since the day that Junior turned pro, obviously Conor Benn came on the scene later, everyone always talked about it, but it was never a possibility because of the weight difference. Chris ended up becoming a world-class fighter, so did Conor Benn. And now we found that middle ground with the agreement with Calla to get this fight on. And it's, you know, it is the greatest rivalry in British boxing history. And next Saturday at O2, honestly, that the country will stop to watch this fight across so many different generations. And I can't wait. I can't believe we're actually sitting here. It's a little bit trippy, to be honest with you, seeing these two gentlemen following in the footsteps of their father, but not a gimmick. Two world-class fighters that are ready to go to war at the O2.
Calla, how are you feeling at the prospect? Obviously, it's, you know, getting everybody together here, I guess, is that their next step to it happening next week?
I mean, it's such an iconic fight. You know, a lot of us in my age, we grew up with the rivalries, but also it's a family feud. It's a family feud in sport at the highest level. So I can't think of a storyline in any sport similar to this one, where the sons meet 30 years later at that level of sport. And that's, you know, sounds like a Hollywood film, sounds like we've dreamt it up. But like Eddie said, no gimmicks. There certainly won't be any gimmicks when the bell goes next Saturday.
There's a brilliant story, Eddie, that I didn't realise, that you were on the verge of signing Chris Jr. To be part of Matchroom. And it came down to his father turning around and saying, your dad's got a picture of me behind his desk from one of the first fights with the scorecards, and I'll let you sign if your dad takes the picture down. But your dad wouldn't do it. No,
I mean, look, my dad was very close with Chris's father. He was best man at his wedding. And I grew up, you know, with that name in the household for many years. And when I was going to sign Junior, there's a very famous picture in my dad's office, which is Chris Eubank Sr. jabbing Nigel Benn and the scorecards from the first fight. And, you know, his dad said, look, we can talk about a deal, but I want that picture in your dad's office. So I thought, no problem. You know, we'll get the deal done. How hard's it going to be? Went into my dad's office. I said, look, just need to take this off the wall for Eubank. He said, absolutely, that's my favourite piece. That goes nowhere. So I'm pleased to be working together on this fight. We couldn't work on a bigger fight. You know, ironically, we were very much Team Eubank for our whole lives. And, you know, my old man is going to be a little bit on the fence. He was always a big fan of Nigel Benn as well. But we're Team Benn this time, and we can't wait for a great fight.
I certainly can't wait. Predictions for the fight, Chris?
I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to entertain. I'm going to teach this young man a lesson. And, you know, will it go 12 rounds? I don't think so. He thinks he's going to knock me out. He says he's going to be the first man to stop me. So that's, you know, it's going to be an explosive, it's going to be a dangerous fight for both of us. But a victory will be secured.
Conor, what's your prediction?
Yeah, I'm coming for the stoppage. You know, no doubt about it. If I see my shot, I'm going to take it. And you know what? When I shoot, I don't miss.
It's what's going to be interesting as well, isn't it? Is getting the two dads back in the room together.
Are the dads going to be there, Eddie?
Nigel's been in camp for pretty much the whole duration. Not sure about Chris, but you know, it would be great to have them both.
Is your dad going to be there, Chris?
We are working on that.
Right.
There's, yeah. How could he not be?
We will wait to see in that case. Well, listen, thank you all for joining us this morning.
I'm very excited that Eddie, you know what both of you guys do, and what a big boxing fan I am, and how much I'm looking forward to it. And I wish you all the best for the contest. It's going to be some night, as you say. I think British boxing fans will be coming to a standstill just to sort of appreciate what happens. It's going to be very, very exciting. Thank you for joining us, and best luck, Calla. Thanks for coming in as well.
Thank you. I mean, having seen the tension here, I think even people who aren't into their boxing are going to want to see this one.
It's like Conor says, this is the longest week now. As the build-up comes, you've got to tick down the days to get there, just keep things ticking over. It's going to be epic. Thank you, gents.
Yeah, thank you.